Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is for you. We are locked in. It's Tuesday. You know what it is. It's time for the Ronin Radio. Today, we got some big guests on the show. We're going to be talking about the decentralized liquid staking protocol with Rocket Pool joining the Ronin network. We've been saying DeFi is yet to come. We are opening the doors today, so I'm excited to bring this one to you guys. Let's find out together exactly what this could mean for us here on Ronin. ETH, bro, that's the tweet today. ETH. We're gonna find out exactly what it is and how it will be coming to Ronin. So make sure you're here at this moment before we go live in a minute's time or so. Make sure we're sharing this around the timeline. If you're on X right now, you can repost the stream for us. Filter those comments through and we'll feature them on the show as they go. If you do have any questions, you can ask them right here, right? Shout out to all the YouTube viewers as well. We are so close to that 500 subscriber goal that we set out. The Ronky is ready. He wants a new home. So if you're new to the YouTube channel today, make sure you're subscribing. But give it a minute or so. We're going to get started. Just filtering through everyone here on the show. And I got a nice surprise for you today, actually. Maybe you'll point it out as soon as I appear. The camera goes live. But yeah, please don't troll too hard. I actually have no choice. But I'll leave that ambiguity for a moment and we'll start real soon. Okay, you locked in? Let's go. All right. Turn the music off. Yo, we gotta get serious today, lads and ladies. It's time. Let's lock in. We're gonna talk today about Rocket Pool. I'm here. I'm in a different country. I've been traveling. All right. I don't have my headphones. Okay. I know the screenshots are gonna come in. Sick. All right. Well done, you. You got some laughs today. It is what it is. But I'm joined, of course, with the top dogs, my team members. Stark's in the building. He's back from his excursions in Scotland. He brought the sun there. So wherever he's at right now, it's probably sunny. Scotland's probably raining. But he's here with me. And Theban as well. Theban's back in base. All the boys are back in the base. Yo, good morning, family. What's going on?
Bro, what happened to my host? Why is there a flamingo in the house?
Yo. I'm a troll. By the way. I'm a Disney troll right now. I've got pipes where if you want me to sing at some point in the show today.
Bro, I can't take you seriously with those.
When have you ever taken me seriously? Let's be real.
That's fair.
Let's be real.
You got me there.
Let's be real. All right, yo, good morning, everybody. Welcome. This is the Ronin Radio. Let's go, man. Let's go today. This is a big conversation. Like we said, we've been asking about DeFi here on Ronin. Open Ronin has set the stage for us to take this journey even further. And this is a huge announcement today, right? I was just having a conversation backstage, in which we will introduce you to Langes from the Rocket Pool team in a moment, on how the first time I ever really heard about, the power of staking and obviously Ethereum and the power of staking Ethereum at the time. This was maybe 2021. Rocket Pool was brought to my attention, and Lil Shrimp Gila back then, I didn't have enough ETH anyway. Rocket Pool was solving that problem of the barrier for entry, and it's been a household name since that time, since 2021. A lot of you will know about it. If you guys have any questions about the collaboration today, please leave it in the chat. But I'm going to take it like this, all right? I'm like you. I'm sitting here thinking, this is cool. Rocket Pool's big, but what does it actually mean? So I think that's going to be our goal, our North Star today is to find out, the details of that. We also have the one and only Professor G-Host in the building too. So if we need any lectures going down, I think he's going to take center stage and help guide us through that. So first of all, I'm going to bring G-Host through to the stage, bro. Good morning to you, sir. What a time we're turning around. It's May. We said it was the month of maybes, and it looks good. It looks good. I think the vibes are definitely up. I'm feeling good. How are you feeling, bro?
The vibes are improving, right? The
Yeah.
sun is coming out. The sun came out for Stark. Scotland.
Yeah.
I mean, what else can you say? But yeah, no, I'm excited to be here. Rocket Pool is one of the first DeFi protocols that I used to get really excited about. I actually have my own Discord, right? It's not so active anymore. But in kind of the 2019, 2020 era, kind of functioned a bit as a little bit of an alpha group, right? Mm-hmm. My theory, right, was that I needed to kind of introduce our community to DeFi coins so that they wouldn't, right, just only be stuck in Axie assets before NFT season kicked off.
Yeah.
And Rocket Pool was one of the protocols that I was super interested in because during DeFi summer back in 2020, ETH staking didn't even exist. Right. And actually a lot of the last ETH rally was driven by the fact that, hey, like staking is finally coming for ETH and we're going to shift from proof of work. And Rocket Pool was one of the top, coins to play around with during that era. So that's kind of how a lot of, me and a lot of the Axie OGs found out about Rocket Pool. So this is really a, full circle moment where it's actually now coming onto the chain. It's not just something that we speculate on or we're excited about for Ethereum, but it's actually something that's live on the Ronin network.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're going to dig into that today. Looking forward to it. Langes is here, GM at Rocket Pool. I'd like to welcome him to the stage, and we'll give Langes a GM in the chat. You are today's genius, sir. Welcome to the Ronin Radio. First time here. A little brief, we're a little bit degenerate, as obviously you could instantaneously tell. But really excited to host this conversation today and welcome you guys to the network.
Yeah, GM. Hello, everybody. Cheers. Thank you very much for having me. I'm really, really excited to be here as well.
Nice. Yeah, so let's start how we mean to go on. There are a few threads that are going around, obviously, about this announcement. The ability to have RETH. Do you have a name for it? Are we calling it RETH? Is that the simple approach? But RETH is now available on Katana.
Yeah, we call it RETH. So
okay,
that's
RETH. Our
ETH.
RETH. Yeah, it's actually a good one. It's a good one for sure. But this is available on Katana. So I think we open up, today's show and talking about what does this collaboration mean? And how can Rocket Pool be harnessed on the Ronin network for users?
Yeah, I mean, I can kick off with kind of an overview of what RETH actually is. So So RETH is a liquid staking token. So when so people can essentially deposit ETH on Ethereum mainnet, and when they deposit ETH on Ethereum mainnet, we give them essentially our ETH liquid staking token. And what actually happens is, under the hood, that ETH is then staked by our node operators, our decentralized network of node operators, and they earn yield essentially from the proof of stake system in an Ethereum. So that yield then essentially accumulates on RETH. So RETH is like a yield bearing token. So it increases in value over time as it accrues rewards from the proof of stake system in Ethereum. The awesome thing about RETH is it doesn't really matter where you're holding RETH. So you can hold RETH on mainnet, or you can hold RETH on any L2, and you're still participating essentially in staking. So just by holding RETH, it accrues value over time. What actually happens is, from a user kind of experience perspective, I guess, is you swap ETH for RETH, you hold it for a certain amount of time, and when you swap it back, you get more ETH than you started with. So that's essentially how it works.
Yeah, absolutely. And just running through some stats here as well, like and to date, this is saying as of May 2025, but RETH itself, like the market cap behind that, is approximately 1.1 billion. So this is not, something new. This is something tried and tested. I'm sure you guys have a ton of users already to date before coming to the Ronin network. So this is opening up the doors, for this pathway for a lot of what we are traditionally, gamers here on the Ronin network, who are, expanding now with the open network and utilizing some of these decentralized finance protocols and processes to kind of improve our own holdings. And something that's been a focal point as of recent is kind of this education approach. And I think Rocket Pool is a really great collaboration to have to kind of open the doors to that. I went through the website. Website does a great job at kind of notifying the users as to each of these steps of the process and what this then means for them, and also the ability for it to be used across multiple networks as well is a huge positive point. I'm trying to think of like these ways in which how will we have avenues to have our ETH that exists elsewhere to be utilized here on the chain.
So, when I saw that this was coming, right, like, my small brain first questions were like, how do I get RETH right on Ronin? And basically the simple answer is that you can swap your normal ETH, your normal Ronin ETH for Rocket Pool ETH via Katana. And so basically this is a way, one of the issues with holding a lot of my ETH on Ronin, which I do, is that, right, there was no way for me to participate in staking, right? So it's basically incentivizing me to hold my ETH on Ethereum rather than on Ronin, which is bad. So basically what I have done is, I've actually been forced to, just not have any of the staking yield on my ETH on Ronin. But now, right, like I can just easily swap my Ronin ETH for RETH on Katana, right? So just check it out on Katana, and you should be able to make that swap really easily. And boom, you're now earning ETH yield on Ronin. This is actually in a lot of ways similar to Liquid RON, right? Where you basically just hold something and you're able to earn staking rewards without really having to do anything. So it's a superior way of holding ETH, and yeah, I'll be swapping a bunch of my Ronin held ETH into this new Rocket Pool ETH.
Yeah, ETH is having a run right now. The conversation around ETH has been a little difficult, right, over the last few months or so, last 2 months specifically. Things started to turn around, look a lot better as of recent. I think the narrative is starting to shift back towards, the earlier beliefs of ETH itself. So even having ETH as an asset right now, I believe, is it's something that I'm looking at, and it's when we're talking about diversifying the portfolio. So having this method of holding it, whilst also accruing the rewards and having that yield basis is definitely going to be, on my agenda specifically. I wonder, Theban, Stark, have you guys had any interaction with yielding through ETH? Have you guys interacted with Rocket Pool over the course of the last few years or anything like this?
Yeah, I'll go first here. Personally, I'm one of those guys who is like super maxi and very focused on, one chain and like trying to just maximize everything I can for our community. So like I tend to just stay on Ronin, right? I've always looked into like these kind of other options, but I always felt like there was this kind of barrier, or it just took a lot of extra steps and a lot of other things that I gotta keep track of. So that's why I'm very happy about this partnership, because it's like, okay, instead of me having to go out and like managing other wallets and so on, like I got all of it now on Ronin. I can do everything I've ever wanted on Ronin. So I'm very happy with the direction this all headed to. And Ethereum, I feel like that's been our bread and butter since Axie, right? And I think everybody knows like that when people realize these meme coins and all this other stuff is just a bunch of fugazi, like we're all going to be coming back towards the real asset of BTC/ETH that most of us have always believed in for the last, I don't know, 7 years or so.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Stark, I know you're an ETH boy. Come on, man.
I actually hold everything on Ronin, and I only bridge stuff over to buy NFTs. So this is similar to what Theban was saying about like a gap or a barrier where it's just like, not that it's huge, right? But it's just like one extra thing to manage. Whereas when you've got you're playing games, you've got your Ronin wallet. I have Scholar's different like for me, it's all on my Ronin wallet. So this is huge. Also excited to see how much new liquidity this brings in, because I think a lot of people, all the whales that on Ronin, etc., now have one less reason to not hold their ETH on Ronin. Yeah. So excited to see how the TVL goes up, and that also means like more eyes on Ronin, more users on Ronin, and it solidifies like the DeFi vision that Ronin has and is trying to build out, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the big pointers, when people are like overviewing and they're not getting into the weeds of like what exists on the network. One of those influences could be, looking at TVLs, looking at where, volume is being accumulated or where people's volume's been directed towards. And, this is one of those pathways where we can see our whales and even new participants be like, okay, well, we can interact with this here, and taking action on that. One thing I wanted to ask Langes is, of course, now that our ETH is on Katana, we're able to use the Ronin wallet to interact with it. The access that you guys have on Rocket Pool itself, because you guys offer a wider range of services to do with like node staking, those types of things. Is that something now that we can interact directly through our Ronin wallets with Rocket Pool as well?
So unfortunately, node staking is only on Ethereum because it's heavily tied to the Ethereum proof of stake system. So there's two parts to Rocket Pool: the node staking and the liquid staking. Liquid staking is the thing that's on Ronin, and the thing that everyone can kind of access through the wallet. So that it's only really that part.
Cool.
I am interested. I am interested to kind of like see, where people take our ETH, because liquid staking tokens can actually be a bit of a primitive from a development perspective. Mm-hmm. So the two things that kind of like pop into my head are things like, as game developers, if they've got ETH sitting in their game, they could actually use our ETH to provide a yield back to their users. as part of a game, or as as like a driver, or a reward mechanism or something like that. There's some interesting kind of like business models where, again, that same ETH could be used to pay game developers rather than rather than like a subscription model. You could have models where the ETH that's being deposited gets staked, and then the developers basically take the cut of the ETH yield.
Yes.
So there's some kind of like really interesting kind of crossovers there for using from the developer experience, using a liquid staking token in like a gaming sort of context.
Yeah, that's actually really cool. Thinking about that now, like it's really creative for that side of things, for game studios too. The reward mechanisms, they've always been encouraged. And one thing that we've spoken about here on the Ronin Radio quite often is, games that come to Ronin and develop on Ronin. There's been a big kind of desire for the community, or from the community, for developers to kind of come in here, open a validator node, have their run there, we'll stake with them, the rewards that come through them, how do they reuse them in their ecosystem? But having it with our ETH now opens up the door, one, for like, say a studio has, ETH holdings, it's almost like a soft entry for them to trial the reward process and what yield looks like and how they can distribute that yield. But also, you mentioned the subscription models there, where like, how does that then work? Like, right in my head, I'm thinking you pay, right, in an ETH amount. That ETH is then dedicated towards our ETH, which takes will accumulate the yield, and would that then cover like future costs, essentially, instead of you having to continuously make a payment month on month? It's just the fact that you're signing over your yield factor to that then company, right? That's actually a really cool approach.
Yeah, so that's essentially it. So it'll be something like, this is off the top of my head because I haven't really thought about it too much. But essentially, they pay like an upfront fee, which they get back at the end. And that upfront fee is in ETH. That gets converted into our ETH. And there's actually mechanisms now. There's like standard kind of like contracts that you can use, smart contracts that you can use, which separate the principal from the yield. So the idea behind that means that the principal stays there, still the same value, but any of the yield can actually be separated and issued out as like a separate token. And so you can then, the developers could then take that portion of the yield, keeping the principal, and then when the user leaves, they can take their principal back, and the developers have like that essentially a source of income.
Wow, I want to see who's going to trial this first, and I like the sound of it from a consumer basis. Like, if you say, yes, this is a subscription model, essentially, the company is accruing value over time, but it's a one-time payment. That's I feel like from a UI, from a UX point, I think that's something that we need to champion. I'd like to see that, be implemented by some of the teams on Ronin pretty quickly. Let's see who are the first movers.
Some things that I see as very immediate or possibilities is something like the Axie Treasury has thousands of ETH, right? 3,000 ETH, right? Now,
Facts.
Boom, like you turn that ETH into staked ETH, and that now the treasury is earning yield, right? That yield could be used to buy AXS, right? So then you basically have like a consistent stream of being able to buy AXS rather than like a one-time thing. Likewise with the Ronin treasury. So yeah, this is just it's just a key primitive, and super excited. I'll be testing it out. But remember, like, all you need to do is go to Katana and swap your ETH for Rocket Pool ETH. It's super, super easy. You can also basically now deposit your RETH tokens from Ethereum into Ronin via the bridge as well, which is my understanding. So 2 ways to get it onto Ronin. But yeah, the simplest, or at least the amount of clicks from Ronin to getting this thing is just via Katana.
Yeah. talking about that treasury, just to give people an update, because I don't think they know it enough, bro. That treasury is stacked. Of course, yeah, I mean, taking this ETH and being able to convert that into our ETH, and then we're able to have an additional form of yield on top of that. Of course, to explain to anybody that is new to the concept of the treasuries, any of the purchases that go down on app.axie, percentage of that is allocated to the treasury. It's been accruing for a long time now, but having an additional yield factor on there really opens up the doors for a better infrastructure for that treasury itself. This is a beautiful thing, man. This decentralized DeFi itself, right? Coming to Ronin, it starts to really get the creative juices flowing. And this is something that I've been waiting to see on Ronin since we went open. So
yeah, I just want to add on to that, like, and I said this before as well. Gamers are actually naturally one of the best DeFi users. They just don't know it yet.
Yeah,
because DeFi is really, it's GameFi, to be fair. And once you introduce it to them, once you teach them how you can multiply your money, you can make your money make money, they just can't let it go anymore. Once you get them through that rabbit hole, they're like the biggest addicts of all this stuff. So I think it's just such a natural partnership, and we're going to see a lot more of this coming in the future for sure.
Yeah. I'm closely watching the DeFi Llama volume page then for the next few days. Do you guys have any plans to maybe invite some of those external users that you may be aware of, within Rocket Finance, those that hold our ETH? Any incentive drivers to do so on Ronin? From my standpoint, of course, the bias is there. Ronin will win, and trying to encourage as many people as possible to utilize it, or there's a benefit for having our ETH on Ronin specifically. And it's a bit of a forceful question, but just wanted to open up and hear your thoughts about that as well, if there's an alignment there.
So we're pretty decentralized, so we don't really have good contacts with we don't have VCs that we can point in that direction.
Yeah.
But we do have a massive community. So a massive community of people who are really engaged around crypto in general, and they love kind of like Axie and that sort of thing, that the stuff that you guys have been doing. So we will be kind of like promoting it through sort of those channels. It already is at the moment. I can see our Discord already, people listening to the feed. So yeah, they'll kind of like be switched on about it, and we'll see. I can't kind of like I can't say yes or no, but
yeah.
We can definitely let people know about all the exciting stuff you guys are doing.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the interesting thing here, from like a DeFi builder perspective, I mean, so I once met Hayden, and a lot of the early users of Uniswap were Axie players, right? Axie players actually proved in a lot of ways that Uniswap was able to penetrate an audience that wasn't the same kind of nerdy ETH person that had been like with Ethereum since the beginning. And I believe that that's also the opportunity with building and porting DeFi primitives to Ronin, is that the ETH community has been kind of stagnant a bit for the last 5 years or so. You're building for the same group of users. Whereas Ronin has been growing over the last 5 years, and there are a lot of users on the Ronin network that do not know about any of these things, that are happening in DeFi, but they have ETH, they have RON, they have crypto, but they don't know about these things. So they're actually the perfect users to target as DeFi builders, If you actually believe that the Ethereum virtual machine is about bringing the open internet and open financial services to every person on earth, and not just the people who have been around, then Ronin is the perfect chain, and it will take some time, to kind of percolate this network effect. And but we now have Compound, we now have Rocket Pool, It's like one by one the dominoes are falling and we're getting the key DeFi protocols on this Ronin network. Gil,
Yeah, the growth,
Gila,
the growth,
you're
is,
muted,
the
Gila.
growth is very
Sorry.
interesting.
Sorry. He's can he? I don't know.
No,
Sorry.
no, no, I know I was muted.
Okay, sorry.
Lan just started to cook. I was like, you know what, chef? No,
Keep
go ahead.
go on, Andres.
No, I'm done. Go for it.
Yeah, no, I was saying things are definitely like percolating right now. One of the things that's been happening over the last few weeks, Lan, just to give you the on the ground feed of things I'm Ronin, is the community's really started to step up, and we've seen a lot of community development. And like on a side note, the DeFi route itself has begun, like we said, with Compound, now Rocket Pool, and step by step, I think we're going to start opening up this cool complex, like Demon was saying, the GameFi of like, how do these interact with each other? How can we utilize different processes to kind of provide that yield? And will there be an arbitrary opportunity that only exists through the Ronin wallet? And that's kind of what I'm looking forward to here as well. We have things on the network like Liquid Run, again, comes out of the community. And talking of community, I think it would be interesting. I just had a thought whilst I was trying to sort out my camera, but imagine, like a Rocket Pool game that you have to, like, similar to the subscription model, right? Like you put forward your ETH to be able to play this game. And then the yield is totally dedicated towards basically the winnings of said game. This even puts Rocket Pool in a position for the IP of your own IP to kind of expand outwardly, and I think that's what Ronin kind of presents with the creative community that we have here, with the development that we see throughout our community, not only to bring DeFi to current users and the network itself, but actually to bring an edge to DeFi as well, right? Because in a lot of these other chains, I'm not saying this is bottom line, but the incentive for that creativity maybe doesn't exist as much or as heavily as it does here, on Ronin. So I'm thinking about it right now. We've got G Host Christ, and just to introduce you guys to our new and found and our beloved troll in our YouTube chat, the Benjamin. I love this guy. He may hate us, but I love him. But G Host is a version of G Host that exists. He's developed a lot of different community games at the moment. It's literally called Ronin, which is Ronin with an EN instead of IN. So I'm just, I'm excited to see maybe if the community harnesses companies or IPs like your Rocket Pool itself and different DeFi projects to get really creative for it. So it's gonna be fun to see. I'm gonna start messaging some of those developers. Huh?
I spoke to G Host.
Oh, you spoke to G Host? We saw that you entered the server the other day.
We both know that we're not the same person, and we're the only people in the world that can definitively say
that. Yeah. I'm glad we have that confirmation, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody knows who G Host is. It is one of the biggest mysteries on the network right now. But Lord, are we thankful for the input that they've had over the last few weeks. But shout out to everyone that's in chat. If you got any questions, please feed them through. Go ahead,
I think he's really like a symptom or like perfectly emblematic of the energy that Open Running comes, right? It's like a little chaotic, it's a little crazy. You're kind of like, okay, I hope, hopefully this doesn't backfire or something like that. But, that's something that the community needs to go through. And I think a lot of the interesting mechanics are related to basically revenue sharing, right? Like you can call it the Ponzi sauce or whatever, but actually what it is basically just the revenue sharing and the street. Basically, right? It's like I actually in a lot of ways I see it as kind of the next level of or new version of meme coins, right? Where it's actually something that's a very gaming specific version of meme coins, right? Because like gamers, you don't want to just only buy and sell and hold, right? You want a little bit of a gamification element, and right there's that bit of that Axie influence where there's like new NFTs that are being issued with the revenue from those NFTs basically being used to kind of balance the system. So I've obviously been watching, and I think it's cool, right? Like we need more community members to step up and try try new things. It's if you check the Ronin treasury, right, you'll see that, right, it has a ton of Ronin, it has a ton of like all of these things, right, because anything that happens on Ronin, anything that's swapped on Ronin, right, eventually, right, just becomes part of the treasury, and right, that's kind of how we have like aligned incentives.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, they've done volume on the Ronin market too, for sure. Those NFTs, that process is proving itself as definitely a way to support it. It is really interesting because meme coins, we have the Tama meme era. The sustainability was very difficult. I feel like the burn processes that we would kind of conjure up were, I wouldn't say forceful, but were quite difficult at times to have that alignment amongst it. Whereas this game layer and the development layer is really making it clear, the approach. So shout out to everyone that's been involved. Shout out to all those developers that are out there. There's not just G-Host. There's more coming to the fray right now. Is it MAO or MAO with the Commander approach? Valhalla is there as well. We've seen Runic do really well, which is a token here on Ronin now. So these games and these quick turnaround development activities are at the forefront. So maybe let's see how creative people get. I don't know, Theben, I know you've been sidelined. I know your stance and stuff like that. Is anything tickling your fancy?
Yeah, I got a question. I got a question right now, but it's so hard for me to just keep a straight face looking at your flamingo headset.
Bro, just don't worry about it.
It's really hard. But G-Host, I got a question for you. Like, I guess I speak for the whole community when I ask this as well. What would be the steps for us to take now to get that Axie treasury, the ETH in there, to like get that staked and get it to start printing a little bit? Because while we wait for the treasury to be deployed, I think this would be absolutely amazing, and it would be a lot of momentum as well being built up for Axie, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so getting the treasury operational is one of the important things that Sky Mavis is working on. There are like some small things that need to be taken care of before we can actually do that. Your kid is so cute. So there's so many there are a couple of things, right, that need to be done. Basically, like if we use the treasury in the current setup, like it could basically create like some tax issues, right, for Sky Mavis or the founders and things like that, rather than like Axie. So we basically right, like need to kind of set up the foundation, and that will basically allow us to that will basically facilitate, right, like being able to use the treasuries more aggressively. So that is something that's that's really important, and I think the benefit though is in the meantime, right, like it's still stacking, right, and being used, getting ready for future use. A lot of people are like, oh, like I see both sides, right? It's like you want to see the treasuries deployed and active and working. But also at the same time, right, it's like kind of good that we didn't blow all our bullets out at the top, or right.
Absolutely.
Actually, most treasuries, right, if most revenue is basically made in bull markets at high prices, right? But when you want the buyback is actually when the prices are low during the bear market, right? So that's actually right, like the theory on why treasuries are superior to automated buyback and burn. So basically an automated buyback and burn basically has you buying high, and whereas right, strategic deployment of the treasury, right, usually comes when the price is low. Kind of also what you see, right, is like there's a lot of outcry from the community to use the treasury right now. Does that make sense, right? So they kind of prove that the principle works because everyone wants it to be used now. Why? Because right, alts are low, and RON was at like 40 cents a couple of weeks ago, right?
Yeah, there's a lot more opportunity. I studied the treasury throughout the bear, and there was times in early days I was doing Gila gossip back then, but like the treasury was bringing in like 20,000 plus, like on a day-to-day basis, and this was like the beginning of Origin. This is literally bear market after some of the most difficult time on Ronin itself, and it's been a consistent process. And from a community member's point of view, personally, for me, yes, being able to utilize the treasury is always something you want, but name me a gaming company in crypto that's even close, really, to that treasury status. It's a differentiator for
we
sure.
were very ahead of our time in integrating that and implementing that, right? Because we thought of this like 4 years ago. Why? Because we looked at protocols, right? Like we looked at protocols in DeFi that had basically revenue share, right? And kind of, right, we're inspired by those mechanics, right? So it's pretty unique, right? And now it's like we're perfectly positioned where there's a ton of capital in there, right? Prices are good. Also, right, like I believe we had mentioned this when, remember we said that we got like some recovery of the funds from the incident and from the Norwegian police. Right, so we got $6 million from the Norwegian police back, but we also got an update from law enforcement that at that time, with much lower Bitcoin prices, we had frozen around $40 million in BTC. Right, so there's basically, right, like there's a ton of BTC coming back to you guys can, I checked. I always check before I talk about this publicly to make, but we have mentioned this, right? It's basically $40 million in frozen funds. A lot of that held in BTC. That will be coming back to the Axie treasury as well, right? So we actually, as a community, have a ton of BTC in our kind of basically sovereign wealth fund. Right?
Yeah, I'd like to know the percentage on that portfolio. Probably the best trader so far in Ronin, right?
We make money on this thing, boys.
Yeah,
the most
let's
dramatic
go.
incident in the history of, right, like our network and probably in crypto, right, like statistically,
Yeah.
And it might end up benefiting us, right? And that's what happens, right, when you stick around, you stay alive. Crazy. It's like history is stranger than fiction sometimes.
Yeah. Wow, there's ways to turn an L into a W. I was thinking about it in my head, like you just tilt it and then like mirror the image. And
every L is a potential W, right? Like, I mean, this is actually what you see in crypto is that all of the strongest communities have gone through the most traumatic experiences together. This happened with ETH and the early DAO hack. This happened with Solana and the collapse of FTX and all of that. And yeah, I do believe that Ronin is one of them, right? One of the things that's gone through that was basically created a stoic mindset, right? Like you basically, crypto is a really difficult industry and space, right? Modern humans are not really well equipped for that type of emotional seesawing. So the protocols that basically almost forcibly kind of force their communities to mature and grow up, they have an unfair advantage.
Yeah. I've got interest here on, we're seeing some questions in the chat, right? The decentralization approach. Someone asked about like how are we going to decentralize Ronin even further? But I think to turn here to Langes, and you guys are a decentralized protocol that goes on with the liquid staking and the nodes themselves. You mentioned it earlier in the show today, but what are your approaches on like the decentralization? What kind of processes have you guys gone through with Rocket Pool? And like, is there a governance system? Where have been some of your wins and victories, and what have you noticed over the years of development?
Yeah, I think there's lots of parallels actually with you guys. So we were kind of like pre-product for a long time. We started in 2016 and then actually went live in 2021. So we were pre-product for quite a long time. And in that time, we built this massive community of people around kind of like staking and that sort of thing. And so, so it's similar with your kind of community as well. We grew that out of that. And I think that has to happen first with decentralized governance, because you can't really create decentralized governance when you don't have a community. So you need a community first, and then you can have decentralized governance. You need a way for kind of like thought leaders and key people to kind of come through and be part of that governance structure. And so building that governance structure took a long time. So even after we launched, it took us quite a while to put the technical pieces into place in terms of governance, but really develop Rocket Pool, the Rocket Pool DAO as a fully functional organization. Now it works really well. There's some really good kind of collaborators in there, and we've got things like We have the DAO earns yield through RPL at the moment, and which is our governance token, earns yield or earns income via that, and then they spend it on. There's management. There's kind of like management committees that have charters that do particular things. So, for example, we have a grants and bounties management committee. So they run a grants program for kind of like spending money on furthering the Rocket Pool ecosystem. Then we have a incentives management committee, which is to do with providing liquidity mining incentives for RETH. And then obviously the team itself, we get some of that as well. So that's kind of that. In actual fact, our next release, which is called Saturn, will actually have a fee switch for RPL stakers as well. So RPL staking node operators will actually get a share of the RETH commission that the RETH holders pay. So RETH holders pay us a commission to node operators for actually staking their ETH, and the essentially RPL staking node operators will get a share of that. So we've kind of got that fee switch that's coming up in our next release, which is quite exciting.
Nice. Yeah,
Actually,
that was really difficult. Go ahead.
A lot of these fee switches are being turned on now in DeFi, right? Because a lot of the issues around securities laws are basically starting to get removed, right? Cool thing about Ronin, right, is like we anticipated, right, securities laws getting more, clear and more beneficial, right? And we've had the fee switch. All the fee switches on Ronin have been basically active from the early days, right? Katana for Ronin Market, right? So basically, Langers, right? We have the system where actually a portion of all NFT volume and all ERC20 volume on the Ronin network gets natively kind of deposited into the treasury, right? So it's like the treasury is basically kind of enshrined at the protocol level. Even OpenSea, when they came, right? It's like they had to do this, right? Because that's basically the precedent that's been set by the protocol. And so yeah, I think we're in a really good time, and I do believe that, right, like the Trump administration and is actually far more bullish for DeFi because, right, like a lot of the things that are holding back DeFi was regulatory uncertainty, because DeFi does have like all these great revenue sharing mechanics. But you start to then get into a little bit tricky territory with securities laws and stuff like that when you do revenue sharing, because that kind of looks like an equity, because that's basically that's the tried and proven over the history of humanity, basically, right, mechanism for making sure that there's some value tied to usage for a given asset.
Yeah, Stock, I think he was about to cook.
It was more like a question out of curiosity, because we hear about the DAOs all the time, but you don't, like, for the layperson, the ronkies out there, you don't, like, it was more to ask, like, out of curiosity, how long from the moment you guys started talking with Ronin and until the moment that it's all finalized, how long did that take? Because there's all these committees, and I'm assuming the more decentralized you are, the longer that takes. So how long did it take?
Yeah, that's a great question. It took a little while. So in DAO land, it depends how quick things move. Really depends. So the thing that kind of slowed us down a little bit is this was kind of like the first time we've done this. In terms of, so we've done it for we've done similar things with kind of roll-ups, L2s, but not with kind of like a not with someone like you guys, like a sidechain. So it was kind of like different. So that's why it took a little bit longer than we kind of like would expect. And we had to, there was a few technical elements that we had to put into place. And so that got kind of like us involved, and then some of the DAO as well, to kind of like coordinate that. And we have to kind of get like a rough consensus around moving forward. And it helps that CCIP was kind of like your canonical bridge. That kind of like helped because there was kind of like one choice. But yeah, it can be. I think it's a double-edged sword because in general the outcome is better. The outcome is better because you get the wisdom of the crowds, and you get a much better outcome in general. Even though it takes a little bit longer, you go through the discussions and the viewpoints and all of that sort of stuff, and so you end up with a better kind of outcome, but it can take a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a double-edged sword. Some things are easy, and that's where like the management committees come in, because what we've found is you have to devolve some power to management committees to have some sort of executive sort of process, and move quickly, and because otherwise you have to go to the DAO every time. You have to go to like the like a full vote of the DAO and all that sort of stuff, and that can be very time consuming. Not just the vote part's quite simple, but the communication part is very difficult. So the management committees really help, but they have a set charter, so they can only do like one thing. So when things fall through the cracks, that's when it tends to take a little bit longer, because we have to kind of like scramble to figure out, okay, so what is the process for this?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it is cool. It is very good.
Yeah, great question, Stark. I think the hardest thing is the justification, right? Of like who's in what position. Like that for me is where the complexity of DAOs exists, and that we don't really have a definitive medium to kind of select those members, right, within any kind of organization. So here's to expanding layers of that. I don't know, we're a gaming chain, maybe you gotta play a mini game, right? Lower score than this, yeah, no. And we'll go through a criteria or something. I don't know, but no, it's I think these are really important questions, especially for us on Ronin, because we have many an outlet in which could harness that DAO structure, and yeah, the community want to see it applied. So I think the faster we figure these things out, the better. But even now, you have the reps, right, where you can recommend things, and there is a process there. But yeah, it's just really interesting to hear from other DAOs how communication goes down, because even like rep is quite singular, right? Like not everybody on the network goes through and checks that. How a message is being guided through the entirety of the community, is something that's really important. But appreciate that. That was really good insight.
Yeah, I mean, from our perspective, from decision-making perspective, you have to rely more on process than individuals. So we have key kind of members of the community who do a lot of things for Rocket Pool and the DAO, but really from a decision-making perspective, it's more about following the process rather than relying on individuals to make decisions.
Mm-hmm. Take notes, ladies and gentlemen, in the chat. Shout out to Key. I know that one was inspired or stemmed from your question earlier on. Again, guys, we're coming up to the hour point. Really grateful to have Langers here today and to share with you guys the information about Rocket Pool. But if you do have any final questions, please put them through in the chat right now, and we'll see what we can do, bring them up. We are going to go into some we're going to expand on our degeneracy, right? There's a lot of things to cover. We're keeping it as professional as possible with the pink fluffy earphones on at this moment in time, but there's definitely some stuff that we want to dig into. You guys have been going crazy over this weekend. The people of Moses, which is a community in which a lot of you Ronins are in. There's been non-stop messages. There's stuff happening. Alpha is flying around, so we'll get over to those details for you guys in the audience that are here for that in a moment's time. I wanted to pass it back over, to G-Host at this point, and just in almost a summary phase as we approach the hour. I don't want to keep Langers here too much longer. Busy man, lots going on. But yeah, if you were to summarize the announcement today and send out the call of order or the CTA for the Ronin community right now, how should they be acting? What are the next steps?
Step 1, go to motherfucking Katana and get your RE. right? It's super easy, right? If you have ETH on Ronin, you can now be earning yield on it, which was not possible before. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Do you guys want to see a Professor Jiho's vid on this? I'm actually going on like kind of a top secret mission tomorrow, but I might be able to squeeze one in if the community wants one. But I mean, it's literally not even deserving of a Professor Jiho's video in a way, because it's so easy. Just go to Katana, turn your ETH, swap your ETH for our ETH, and boom, you're actually earning yield. What is the staking yield on ETH right now? Like 4 or 5%?
It's not quite that good anymore, but it's about 2.6%.
2.6%. So if you basically, if you have 100 ETH on Ronin, you're missing out on free, basically 2.6 ETH per year. I have around or a little bit more than that, and I'm literally missing out on thousands of dollars per year because I'm not holding our ETH, right? So this is bad for your career. It's bad for your money. It's bad for your finances. Your wife is going to yell at you. Your girlfriend is going to yell at you if you do not go to Katana and get your Rocket Pool ETH right now.
Hell yeah. Make sure you do it. Nice and simple, bro. Katana is, you guys have used Katana so much, bro. We did Tamamine. We went through so many things. It's a simple 3-click process probably at this point. But yeah, if there's any WETH on your account right now, I don't see the purpose of it staying that way. Let's get locked into REIT itself, and even now, if I don't want to say stabilize. You guys are going to crucify me for saying those types of words here, but if you are having ETH in your portfolio, then I think this is definitely the prioritized way that you should be holding ETH right now. An extra it is 2.65. I'm seeing on the website right now, percentage APR roughly right now. Go get those additionals. Benjamin's saying it's so easy. The actually treasury won't be able to do it this year. What do you think about that, Jihos, bro? What do you think about that? The comment, bro. This is what I'm saying. This is our biggest troll, bro. We need to combat this. He's saying it's so easy that the actual treasury won't be able to do it this year. Do you have a rebuttal to that? Is it?
No, we'll see, right? There's some things, right? Like that, basically some adult aspects to this that are kind of a little tricky that we have to navigate. But rest assured that that is a priority. Being able to access and put the treasury to use for this digital nation.
Absolutely. Go on and start. You about to chime in?
No, I forgot what I was going to say after reading what Benjamin's question.
Damn, I want to meet Benjamin IRL, bro.
I bet he's a riot. He's just, how sometimes people are a certain way online, and you meet them, and they're never the way.
There'll be fists involved, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, on that note, Langers, thank you so much for coming through. Huge announcement today. Really excited to amplify this and get this around throughout the rest of the week. Really, there's no point holding ETH. This WETH situation on Ronin should be no longer, to be honest. Let's see how much ETH we can accumulate on the network over the course of this week. Any final words from yourself?
No, thank you very much for having me on here. I'm really excited to see what I totally agree with you that there's an opportunity there for particularly in innovation in this space, kind of around here. So yeah, really excited to see how it develops.
Yes, a great suggestion. I'm now going to champion that and probably repeat it multiple times over the next few weeks. That game's, hey, yo, you got something you could try here. You guys might be smarter than me, so even take that a little step further. So let's see where that all goes. But yeah, thank you so much for pulling up, and a shout out to Rocket Pool here on the Ronin network. All right, degenerate mode. Is there a switch? It don't need to be switched on. Let's be honest, Demon, bro. I'm serious, man. You've seen the chat that's happening in the Peoples of Moses. You've seen things on the timeline. You were saying yesterday, yo, Ronin was as green as like more green than a lot of different environments. We should be standing by it. People are quick to talk about when it's red, but when it's green, well, motherfuckers don't want to say nothing. What's wrong? What's going on, Demon? What we got? We got a little sit down conversation with our peoples out here.
You know, it's what I called everyone out for. You know, you just got to keep the same energy going both ways, right? If you hate on, you know, like, oh, it's not performing as well as all the other tokens on one day, then when it does on the other day, you got to come out full swing as well. Like, you can't just be choosing sides or just because like you're sidelined or whatever. I think I think Ron. I was gonna say Ronin. I think Ron has a lot of potential, like in the future. I think right now, you know, I feel even though Bitcoin is doing well, a lot of these tokens are in like a kind of like a building phase. Like people don't really realize their true value yet, right? It's mainly because like the attention is just somewhere else in the meantime, right? But
I mean, I think like, you know, Ron trades like sector specific ETH beta.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
basically trades like leveraged ETH relative to us like a certain sector in a lot of ways. But the issue obviously, right, is that, right, like we're very closely associated with the Ethereum community, which cuts both ways. Ethereum Ethereum right now is only like 9% of the entire cryptocurrency market cap. That's actually the lowest it's been since ETH was around $120, right? Back when in 2019, when I was just here, I was a young rookie on the scene, and everyone was saying that ETH is dead, blah, 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 right? Like right before the rise of DeFi came about, was actually, right, like the same numbers in terms of ETH dominance for the total market that we are now. So, you know, ETH has been having some issues, like I guess with the price. But, you know, I do see a lot of things behind the scenes as well, where ETH is starting to get its act together in terms of being able to pitch to institutions, pitch to Wall Street, and really show that, you know, all the metrics and the numbers and the adoption points to ETH being, right, the platform where you have these crypto apps being built on top of.
Yeah.
And you know, there is this kind of like war that's being had for the soul of Ethereum, where some people are saying, right, that scalability is bad for ETH because, right, like all these L2s are being seen as extractors where they're just benefiting from Ethereum without paying their taxes. I do think that that's an overly simplistic view, right? Because ETH is also like money. ETH is a digital store of value, and all of these, you know, just like Ronin, right? Just like Ronin uses ETH as a store of value, right? Like ETH gets locked up on Ronin, and people want to hold it, especially right as they get access to, you know, DeFi and other reasons for them not to just dump their ETH, right? All of these kind of satellite nations, these L2s, these side chains that are EVM denominated, they all actually add to the overall network effect of ETH, even more than, like the amount of taxes that they're paying. That's such a kind of imperial, simplistic way of thinking about it, right? You know, I studied history, and there are two modes of empire, right? Like there's the Spanish mode of empire, which is like we're going to have colonies and we're going to tax them and extract heavily from them. And then there's the British mode of empire, which was like, you know, we're going to have these colonies and they're going to be relatively self-sufficient. And always, right, like basically when you give your colonies more freedom, more empowerment, that ends up being a superior model in the long run and ends up creating more of a value accrual for the original empire in the long run, right? America, right, kind of seemed like we actually hurt England, or we rebelled, but we ended up saving England twice in the long run. So it's like some, I don't know, historical context related to how I'm thinking about the complex issue of like ETH, L2, kind of taxes and scalability, and how that some people think that's actually hurting Ethereum, whereas I believe that's actually not the case.
Yeah, we've got it into chat. Trevor's saying that we need GHOS on the ETH Foundation. Any actual, is there substance to that statement?
Well, I talked to the ETH Foundation. I believe that they're in the right. Even the fact that they're willing to talk to me is a big upgrade from the past, right? Like I reached out to them. I was like, hey, like I want to know how I can help. You know, I want to share some of my views, and you know, I was able to talk to them. So I think that in general is bullish, right? That obviously they know a lot about what we've accomplished and how many people we've onboarded to the EVM. And, you know, one of my pledge brothers from a fraternity is actually working at something called Etherealize, which is kind of like going out there and talking to Wall Street. So I do believe that the culture is shifting to more aggression and will to win in the Ethereum kind of upper echelons, the Ethereum Foundation and these kind of spin-off organizations that are related to championing ETH. And I do think that the wind has shifted, and I haven't been this bullish on ETH in a really long time. So I do think that the winds are shifting, and we're starting to see, right, like Bitcoin dominance start to drop. And I do believe that we haven't seen a real alt season, where typically alt season happens when you have Bitcoin dominance drop from like 65 to 70% down to 40%. Bitcoin dominance, I believe, is around 62%, 60% right now. Basically means that we haven't seen an alt season. And, I do believe that every bull market basically will end with a sharp drop in Bitcoin dominance. That's what's happened every other time that I've been in since the time that I've joined crypto. And, I do believe that will happen.
Mm-hmm. It's at dominance at about 64% right now.
64,
I think it
even better. That's even better. More juice in the engine, right? Like the dominance is actually the gas that fuels the alt season.
So, I there was so many jokes with about Ethereum Foundation, especially during the Bybit hack, right? They were like, better go to the North Koreans than the Ethereum Foundation or something like that. It was actually hilarious, like reading those kind of comments. But I will say, like, I think these kind of prices, especially what we saw last month, was a great opportunity for us to have like new people coming in to champion Ethereum, right? Because they're picking up at a massive discount, in my opinion. Very similar to what happened with Ron the last month, right? We need fresh blood, we need new blood to come in, but at higher prices is much more difficult.
They have less upside, right? Like you need to have young rookies come in on, right, like contracts that can increase, right? Like think of it in terms of like football management terms, right? You basically need like the young generation to come in with upside, and that's hard when prices are super high. Because the youngins are the ones who are going to be doing, right, have the energy and the will to basically do a lot of the day-to-day heavy lifting.
Yeah, and Ethereum and L2s, like nothing has changed. They're the ones who are actually building something, right? Especially for the future, for the people, and so on. And like it's gonna be a natural transition once that actually happens. But it's a matter of like, okay, can we survive till then, right? We just gotta go. We just gotta keep on building, cut costs as much as we can in the meantime, and just bide our time, because the moments will occur. And for me, as for Ron, because we are on Ronin, it's like gaming. Maybe some people feel it's kind of like meme at this prices and so on, that they're starting to lose hope. But I feel like this is the moment where you want to be picking up bags and believing, because when everyone's fearful, as we always say, that's the best buying opportunities. And I saw a comment on Twitter just the other day. I should have retweeted it, but someone was asking, okay, what do you think is the best, or what do you think has the best potential over the next couple of years to like 5x or 10x, right? And it was like actually a serious thread. And someone mentioned Rod, like someone I haven't even seen in our community or anything. It was actually just a trader. But then it clicked with me. It's like, okay, yesterday we saw Ron be one of the leaders in like how much it pumped, and it made me realize traders are watching, right? Traders know about these kind of sectors, because last year gaming was absurd, right? It multiplied like crazy during, I think it was February or March of 2024. And they're waiting for the moment to come back in, and like they are accumulating at these prices. You just can't see it easily. I think yesterday was a great sign that showed, okay, people are going to be watching now, because we saw how much or how well it did. And on any kind of pullbacks, I can totally see Ron exploding. And I feel like there's a lot of belief in Ron in the long term, especially once people start realizing that all the other noise is like
we all
useless.
Believing is a choice. If we all choose to believe, then everyone else, right? It's a chain reaction. That's how you start a movement. I firmly believe this, right? Like if we believe, everyone else will believe, then boom, like it goes from there. It starts with us, right? You guys I'm really proud of you guys. Right? I really like this format. I'm super proud of the community because I've seen everyone step up. But yeah, at the end of the day, right? It's not, it can't just be. It can't just be everyone like looking at me, looking to Sky Mavis for the answers, right? Like we just need to all choose to believe, and it will spread like a chain reaction. Right, and that's also the thing, right? It's like when people are like, let's onboard more strategically. Well, guess what? If we have fun and we believe and we're stalwart, right? That's what is going to be what other people want to become a part of, right? It's like you attract. If you have positive energy, you have positive belief systems, right? Then you attract others that want to be part of our culture, right?
Absolutely. I do have a point on that. I think a lot of the belief factor, the weighted responsibility that I think people issue onto Sky, maybe specifically, and people like yourself, G-Host, is almost like it's like an inadequacy thing. Like they don't have something, so and they feel that that's an obstacle towards being impactful, right? And so that they almost have this approach to things as like, well, I can't do this. You know, I'm inadequate in that aspect, so you guys have to do that, right? And we've seen that kind of unfold, right, with the community projects that have been going around, and hopefully that does start like a chain reaction to a lot of Ronin users that like you should not have this feeling of like an ineffective nature from your own presence here. And it is, it starts with simple stuff. It is tweeting, it is like being involved in communities, it is telling people in real life about the stuff that you are doing, and then even supporting your case of belief as well, investigating, being diligent, and those things as well. So but looking over last week, a lot of belief has been shared. Some belief in our NFTs on the Ronin market itself is being communicated. I wonder, did you guys pick up your cute Asian girl? The CAG mint did go down back in the last week, seeing a decent amount of volume since the mint went down. What do we think, bro? Because even on top of this, like the token, the CAG token, has seen a little push upwards, right? Like 5% the last 24 hours. Starting to see some form of a recovery there. Is CAG in your portfolio? This is a big one. Theban, is CAG in your portfolio?
Yo, I won't lie. That NFT, I saw the previews. They're fire, man. They're like actually beautiful. There's some high quality NFTs. Like I love it. Like I think it's gonna be one of the better NFTs for sure. It just all depends on the guys behind this, like what they plan to do with it. Because if they're trying to build something maybe for the ladies, or maybe something that they want to build a brand around in the future, right? I can totally see like how do you call it? Like,
it's a great gift. Great gift for your wife.
I agree.
For your daughter, any woman in your life, this is a great gift for them, and I just want a lot of them in as well. Let's also
I love it.
Thank you, Langers. So I just Langers will be leaving, and it's been a pleasure to have you. Welcome to Ronin. Welcome to Ronin.
Welcome. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Langers. Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
All right, boys. I also need to head out. I got some other meetings, but it's been an honor. It's been a pleasure as always. And
wait, we got one last thing before you head out. You got anything to tell us about Katana V3? Quick TLDR or
the blitz is going down, bro. They need to know.
So basically, the thing that I saw is that the Katana V2 rewards are being sunset. That's actually great for Ron because those are a significant source of emission, right? So basically, the inflation rate of Ron should be going down. I do believe that a portion of that will be, taken and reinvested into Katana V3 rewards. But the overall net issuance will still be reduced. So less Ron inflation, more efficient, effective rewards for Katana V3. Thank you for Katana V2 for your service. I do expect a lot of people will probably still be depositing in there, right? They might have just deposited a ton of liquidity and forgot. I probably have some Katana V2 liquidity that I have deposited in there and forgot. I think you can go on like Wild3 or sites like that, right? To basically see, check if you have any LP positions that you forgot about. But that's like the kind of the DL. I was actually also asking the team about it. What's the TLDR, guys? And it's basically, less Ron inflation from basically sunsetting the V2 rewards, and then that will be reinvested in the V3, but with still a significant reduction in the total emission.
Fire. All right, Geos, appreciate you. Thank you so much. We'll catch you again sometime soon here.
For sure.
Yeah.
Word. Yeah, V3, bro. If you don't know about V3, the Katana Pool V3 and how that fucking works right now, or what it is, like, stop being retarded, because if I know, you're fucking up. Like, dead ass. Like, seriously. There are multiple videos out here. So go venture into what that actually is, because it is going to be, you know, the focal point as of May 30th, which is in 10 days. So you got 10 motherfucking days to do your homework. It's not too difficult. But yeah, fire, man. I like that today's show, but Rocky Pool's here. R-ETH is here. I am so intrigued about the R-ETH process that, you know, could be taken, a one-time payment, and then the yield is dedicated towards the company. What does that facilitate you with? Does like purchasing a battle pass in R-ETH give you like additional rewards throughout a game's existence? Those types of things. I mean, to be honest, most of our games aren't even built out that much to have battle passes at the moment. So, you know, whatever. It's a different conversation, a different day. But yeah, I'm actually gonna go swap all my WETH into R-ETH today. To be honest, no point sitting there in WETH. All right, let's see what we can do.
Can we see your flamingo head again?
You could if my camera didn't die. Like I'm so like I literally landed last night, went straight to bed, woke up this morning, was like, holy fuck, I've got to set everything up. And that's when I realized I didn't bring my headphones and had to wear my stepdaughter's Disney Trolls. So fire. Wait, if this camera sounds like I'll put it up, but if it doesn't.
Why you have to use your stepdaughter as like, you know, as an
Yeah.
alibi?
She's
We
not
know
a
it's yours.
stepdaughter, bro. She's
We-
fucking cool, bro.
We know it's yours.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's where we go with that.
We,
Okay.
Own it.
we know it's yours.
Own it. Just own your
Yeah.
fashion choices.
It's okay. You can come out the closet, mate. It's fine.
Here's my closet. It's an Elgato cam. Wait. I'm back, baby.
Oh, there
Look
we
at
go.
this shit. Yo, ain't nobody pulling this shit off, bro. I'm telling you. You flossing, mate. Yo, let me fucking send a stage my ass, bro. What? Ain't
You
nobody
should dye
pulling
your
this off.
hair. You should dye your hair pink for Thursday.
Honestly, imagine like a little axie here talking about merchandise.
Speaking
Bro.
of pink hair, did you guys know I had pink hair at some point?
Fuck off.
I'm not joking you.
Please,
Wait, let's
please,
see-
please
let's
get
see-
me an image.
Let's see
Get
if
me
I
an
can.
image.
Let's see if I can find it online.
Get me an
somewhere.
image immediately. Get me an image immediately. Oh man. Yeah, CAG mint went down. If you got your CAG, you got your CAG.
Oh, there's
I've seen
one.
them
There's
build
one
leagues.
here. There's one. This is the only one I can find
I'll
online.
put it
right
in
now.
private. Yeah, put the link in there.
I'll put it in your Discord. Here you go.
There
Oh
was
my
also
God.
there's also Axie tweeted about there's an airdrop nightmare accessory airdrop. They tweeted it during the show,
Ooh.
but it's like
Ooh.
This is the only one I found.
What a nightmare accessory is gonna do, bro? What's gonna happen?
You know, I had so many different hairstyles and stuff, and like I never took pictures myself, so I don't even have anything. I gotta go on
Wow.
Google.
Yo, that boy clean. Yo, you know
Man.
T-Bone was wild in them days. That young 1437 out here, you know, managing some of the best teams in Dota, going from city to city. I seen one of your interviews, bro. You guys were fucking wild. You see that? Remember, you know that interview you shared, where the woman's like, "So what have you been doing in your time in whatever city it was?" And he was like, probably masturbating." That shit was so fucking funny, bro. But, you guys were killing it.
That
Oh,
was
man.
actually my second team I was ever part of with
Okay.
that guy. That was Sing Sing with Sing Sing Now Sports. That's what that was back in 2012. Yeah, that interview was back to this picture with the pink hair. That was back in 2000 and end of 2016.
Damn, son. It actually looked clean, bro. It looked pretty damn good. You only ever see you with a hat on nowadays. Any plans on returning
Of what? Returning to what?
the pink hair?
No, of course not. I'm pretty sure I ruined my hair like after all those. I dyed my hair a bunch of times during
Oh, yeah, you
2016,
definitely did.
2017. I'm pretty sure I ruined my hair after that. I wouldn't recommend it. It's not worth it. Like it's just too much bleaching and shit and like.
Yeah. Well,
Is that why I was called Rose? Yeah. During that time, I was called Rose for a little while. How did you know about that?
Yo,
Actually,
Trevor knows a
how
bunch
does-
of shit.
How
bro.
did Trevor know that I was called Rose? I was literally called Rose for like 6 months. I was
Trevor
known
was
as
a big fan,
1437 for the rest of my career, but Rose was for like a 6-month phase.
Big fan, big fan.
That's
I'm
cool,
so
man.
glad to be back in America because after this, I can get on Uber Eats and order everything that will kill me. I'm so excited for it.
Uber Eats, yeah, you're gonna get nice and chubby, little chubby dealer.
Bulking up, bulking phase. Oh man. What's going on? What's going on with these fucking things, bro? Okay, let me looking at tokens I'm running right now. Where's the hype?
Player 2? Trevor, you're a pro at what? Wait. I gotta.
Trevor's a pro at threads, bro.
I gotta hear this.
That's a pro threader.
I swear to you, man. Trevor's one of the funniest guys ever, man. He always makes me chuckle, bro.
Honestly,
He's got some follow up here. I'm pretty sure he's got some follow up. If he doesn't, he's thinking about it right now.
yo, are we seeing the return of the Mac, bro? What's going on with Ronky? Staple. You know what? The Ronkies were a little bit mad at me. I did my I'm tired stream on Thursday or Friday, whatever day it was. I've not deserted the Ronkies. The PFP has changed. This is a strategic move, ladies and gentlemen. We are here. Oh, camera throw, sick, awesome, great. It hasn't actually.
It's okay.
You look like you're about to put your mic right into your mouth.
Why? What? You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck, bro?
And you look very happy about it.
It actually worked. Yeah. No. I'm envisioning something else,
Guys,
but it won't go
18
back,
plus.
guys. It won't go back, guys. Oh, we live. There we are.
Okay.
Yeah. Is Ronky gonna return to the Mac, bro? Where's Ronky now, bro? How are we looking? What are you Jeeters doing? Let's go on the daily.
I there's talks about Ronke doing something, cooking something. I don't know what it is, but I think there was some leaks inside of the Discord. Maybe someone in chat knows what that leak is and they want to mention it. But that doesn't look bad. It looks kind of like it's breaking its downtrend a little bit.
Yeah.
So
it's building that actual support level, right? Where like a core of the community is
so
not to sell.
what's gonna happen now is if we see a higher high here, right? If we can close above the May 8th, then we can see some potential, and then we see like a retest, and then we go flying after that. That'll be nice. But yeah, that looks like or that could be the retest of the breakout here, from the downtrend. That's also possible.
We'll see what else is on this this list. The Ronin coin, bro. We've seen some beef on the timelines. RC Tech as he is front and center in that. Him and Kagi are just tooth and nail at the moment.
So this on Ronin, that looks like a double top here to me for now. So that's a little concerning. I would say a double top. Those are very dangerous. So unless we see a higher high coming in the next couple of days.
Yeah, I mean, we zoom in here on the hour. It constantly tests that point, right? Like it really does.
Yeah, I mean it's a pretty big resistance at the moment. But yeah, let's see. I think the next couple of days will be interesting.
Well, you can count on me, guys, to not buy the top. But Ronky is dead, lol. The core of the community is down only.
I don't know about that. I think
I
the
don't
core of
know
the
about that,
community bought in like sub 200K.
Yeah,
and there was a lot of them. So
and if it was dead, they would definitely be selling at this point. Like
I think there's a lot, and don't forget that they actually got $1 million RON fund or something they can always deploy as well. So yeah, I don't know, man. I know Coco has gone missing for a little while, but we've seen him do that, right? And I think what my theory is, I think Coco's a market maker. And I think he goes away whenever he needs to go cook some markets, especially when some shenanigans going on, and then he comes back when it's like in a little bit of a lull, or like it's kind of up only, you know, where market makers just gotta let go of the wheel and let the community take over. And then he comes back and he does this thing. And we also seen him accumulate, right? Like a shit ton of Ronke. And like they're building stuff.
Yeah.
I think Ronin did a really good job at being the first, like with the Ponzi game, right? And being quick at it. So I think they got a lot of mind share. My only concern with Ronin is like, what if there's a community with a little bit more mind share comes in, right? Is it possible that when, you know, the liquidity splits, like will it be able to survive that test, right? Because that's always the concern with anything, even meme coins, right? Meme coins, like a meme pops up and then the next meme comes in that is popular, the liquidity gets sucked from one to the other, right? So it all really depends. So let's see. Like I'm a believer until, you know, you get tested, right? Then we'll see if you can survive that. Then I'm a true believer, right? The same way, like when you trade, you don't want to trade like you want to trade the retest. You don't want to trade like the initial pump because it's not obviously the most cautious play. Not everybody's like that, but yeah.
Well, we're looking here at Commander, the token CMDR. Stark, you've been checking up a little bit about this one, right?
Yeah, I've aped into Commander.
Okay.
The guaranteed like mint for the next tier of units is right now, and then there's the first come first serve after that. But I minted, I think, 25.
Stark is a Commander champion, right? Because you know he got in early. That's
he was sidelined on Ronin. That's
I was sidelined on Ronin. I didn't. I missed the
I'm
this
sidelined on everything, bro.
Yeah.
I'm sidelined.
This is
waiting.
the thing, bro. Like those who are sidelined are now starting to tune back in. Like that FOMO is going to drive them towards different projects, and it's now really going to be like, okay, is there a contention for, like you were saying, that mind share? Like this is where narrative and IP actually has substance, because even when the mind share isn't there, like there's still something. So yeah, my kind of attention at the moment is focusing on how do things develop from here. Like what is actually the true mind share, and you know, what was mindshare actually stemmed in terms of value? Was it the arbitrary opportunity at that moment in time? And if that then leaves the building, you know, how many people follow it out the door? The Benjamin here saying that Commander has no liquidity. If you do look, you know, on Ronin Marketplace, 8,000 run in volume is, I wouldn't say is no liquidity. You know, when we're looking at the actual collections on the 7 day, this is on the week basis. You know, Commander began, I think it was Sunday. Wednesday, or no, were the NFTs was Sunday? So if we go 24 hours, Commander's going to be just slightly higher in 4th position. It was like the narrative began, the conversation began, I want to say around like Wednesday, Thursday, and then the mint obviously took place on Sunday. So pretty fast turnaround. There's also other bubblings around the community right now with Based. Actually, you guys know Base 64 was in People of Moses. Big shout out to Based, independent dev here too. Solo building the Aquarium quest. So we're seeing more and more contenders step into the building. I don't have no idea. Like I literally asked Base what is this, and he just said fish. So like, what do we do with that information? If there's any alpha,
okay,
of course we'll
let me have my cook. All right.
Okay, cook. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm gonna center stage you for the cook, bro.
Fuck off. If you do that, I will leave.
But it's not center. Look, you on the center.
Okay.
Like,
The last time you did this, you literally removed Stark and yourself like this. Exactly. Can you? All right. Thank you. Okay. So, my belief, and I think what Gio said as well, right? Like about these games and these like, you know, like pixelated games, and people are like putting their money into it and so on. It feels like the smaller your team is, right? and the less you have to like spend on them, the more chances you have of succeeding.
It's just
right?
margin process, bro.
Yeah,
Really is.
like at the end of the day, all people want is like they just want to PvP each other, right? They just want to make money. They just want the like idea that they're gonna hit one time on 100x or 500x or 1000x or whatever it is. So we're all degens at the end of the day, right? So if there's no big teams that you have to constantly pay out, like nobody wants like a 5% gain, even though a 5% gain in the real world is amazing, right? No one wants that shit, right? So this is why I feel like a lot of these games are succeeding, is because you got one guy who needs to profit, right? Most of them, right? The whoever is making all these Ponzi's, right? Like one guy profits, and then the community gets the rest.
Yeah, it's like
We
you
don't
guys
actually
fight amongst
care what the
yourselves.
game is,
Yeah,
right? The builder can build whatever the fuck he wants, mask it or copy. We don't give a fuck. Like that's what the market's saying, right? Just copy whatever, let the people eat, and we'll support you. Right.
Yeah.
And then if it crashes, it crashes. So be it. That's part of life. Where everyone like this way, most of the people participating, they only need one game to hit for them. Right. And their entry is very low. So it's a very interesting thought here. And I'm beginning to think that like maybe these 5-round mints aren't so bad. Right. Maybe some of these games need to have like very small barrier to entry. They need to find other ways to make money, right? To run their teams, not through like the communities. Get more winners in your communities and then use them as like your marketing tool. Maybe you would even spend most of your marketing instead of going out to others, right? Use that as like letting your community eat through these mints, right? And just try to like get bots out as much as you can. Like figure out like how to stop botting from happening. Get the NFTs into as many people's hands at an extremely cheap price, and then let the most natural marketing possible happen.
Yeah,
is what I think is the best.
Yeah, we're gonna see some winners. Yo, Theban, when are we sitting down and learning to vibe code, bro? Gotta make some.
What the fuck is vibe coding?
Like you don't know how to code, right?
No,
I don't know how to code, right? So we just like vibe until the AI codes what we're trying to put out.
Wait, you can write to the AI and it'll code it for you?
Yeah. Where have you fucking been?
You serious?
Are you dead ass?
I told you, I've been studying charts, man. I've literally been studying charts. I've been literally studying how money moves, right? Because like, I'm curious now, like I hate being the guy who gets wrecked every time. I hate.
No, you've been on the arc for a while, right? Like trading is a game. Every game that you've competed in, you've managed to rise towards the top, percentile of that game. Trading is the game right now.
To be fair, though, it is probably the hardest game in the entire world. Like, it's harder than sports. It's harder than like poker. It's harder than anything you can ever imagine. Mainly because you're the small guy. You have no impact on the outcome, right? So you kind of have to understand like who are the players. You kind of have to understand like, and there's someone else playing against you, right? Every time, like let's say you open a position, there's somebody else opening a counter position to you, right? So there's all of that, and like just it's really tough. I think it takes a lot of years to get really good at it, but if you're talented, hopefully, maybe you can do it a little bit faster than somebody else. But yeah, I just love the idea of like knowing how money moves, and it also made me realize like how bullshit everything is, right? I'm not talking about like I'm just talking about the entirety of like the world, right? Like you how the US dollar or currencies, how people devalue their currencies of their countries for like trades and things like that. Like all this tariff things made me start looking into like, okay, how do these countries profit, right? Why do they need to profit and so on? Like there's a lot of stuff that I never thought about before that if you really understand it, or like you try to get yourself to understand it, you realize like, okay, all this shit, like it's at the end of the day, the whole world is a Ponzi.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, and on that note, an hour and 40 minutes in, I think we can close today's show, man. Shout out to everyone that's out here building. Rocket Pool is in the building. Yeah, we got some stuff coming up for the rest of this week. Maybe there'll be 1 or 2 more announcements. We're gonna be here in the trenches anyway, but shout out to Camera Freezing again. That's how you know it's time to go. Starks disappeared too. Oh, he's back. Hello.
I'm back.
There you go. There we go. But yeah, man, I'm about to get my life together. I'm gonna go
Buy a
vibe.
purple headset.
No, I actually ordered one. It's on the way. It's a Bluetooth one as well. So I'm gonna be like running around the room.
You should send your headset to Rallo because it would fit his
Yes,
ROM
I just saw that in the
perfectly.
chat, bro. It literally looks
It's
like
the same colors.
it's literally
Dude, listen. Rollo's ugly enough as he is.
damn
Okay.
son.
We don't.
For fuck's sake. All right, guys. Yo, listen. We
Cheap
do
shots.
have. Wait. I gotta check in because we actually have. If we hit this target, we're giving out the Ronki today, bro. So, you guys have done well. We tried to reach 500 subscribers. You took way too fucking long. You fucking suck. Half of you actually suck cock. But we're there. We made it. And bro said, "You are Canadian." That was the response. You are Canadian. Either way, we'll figure out how to give those out. And you will be informed on our X. If this is the first time tuning into Ronin Radio, I hope you had a good time. Make sure you're following us on the socials. We'll be back on Thursday with another banger. And yeah, that's about it. So you can all fuck off now. I appreciate you and go have a great week. Okay, awesome. Much love, guys. I'll catch you in a bit. We'll see you on Thursday. Take care. Peace.